All right, we are up and running on YouTube. Hey, everyone. What's up, everybody? How we sounding? Loud noises here. College hoops, New Mexico, the Lobos. So yeah, let's have that Ian that Schefter ready. Let's have that. And I definitely want to take the press conference, Bobby. So as soon as I start, I already got the YouTube. Get my ear or text me that we're ready to go. And you got the final call from UNLV. That's probably all I need, okay? Out of the gate, JT, as we open up the show, we are live from the Thomas and Mack Center. What a famed arena this is, where the UNLV Running Rebels call home. And I've seen some of the best concerts I've ever seen here. But it is loud in the background. I'm at the Modelo Lounge. You should be watching this on YouTube, man. You can see me at a bar. Someone bring me a Modelo. It's 12 o'clock. We're ready to roll. Good to have you here today. I love this Las Vegas events. Our good friends Michael Mack, who brought me out here today. And we are here with the Fraternal Order of the Men in Khaki Pants as they're invading Las Vegas, Nevada for March Madness. As I always told you, there is nothing bigger in Vegas. Not the Super Bowl, not an NFL game, not a hockey game. Nothing is bigger than March Madness in Vegas. It's clearly our biggest event for our hotel rooms. The rodeo's big. You know, I dress up as Cowboy Brick in this building. Oh, no. But this is about as big as it gets because we are dominant here in Las Vegas when it comes to March Madness because we are a free country in Vegas. We want people to come here and drink and walk and go to casinos and bet on games and go to steakhouses and go to concerts and watch college basketball. And nobody does it better than Vegas for that. So again, we'll get the Super Bowl, probably every 4 to 5 years. You know, we're getting the Frozen Four in hockey. The guys who sent me here today and brought me here today are going on a trip to scout the Frozen Four, which will be here for hockey coming up here next year. We're going to have the Final Four in basketball right around the corner. But when it comes to March Madness, man, if you're coming out here, hit me up on X at JT the Brick, and I'll give you some of my advice on restaurant recommendations. You know, it used to be easy. I could hook you up for a room, maybe, get you a comp here and there. maybe throw you a couple cocktails here. But Vegas, man, we got a problem in Vegas. They're trying to gouge us all. It's getting pretty expensive. Even the airline tickets are expensive to get out here. Hey, Vegas, calm the bleep down and slow your roll. Let's get back to $200 to $200, $300 round trip airfare. Let's get back to rooms that are $200 a night, not $700 a night. And let's take our cocktails from $24 down to around $9 so everybody can have a better time here. God, I should be the mayor of this town. I can clean it up and fix it like that. All right, UNLV won last night. Ooh, they're in a little bit of a battle with Air Force. Air Force, one of the worst teams in America. But final call is Kevin Kruger, and UNLV advance out of the first game. Yeah, so Rebel Radio on the call there. So UNLV ends up winning. And that's pretty important because I'm a big supporter of Kevin Kruger. And you got to win that game. And I hope they get hot. Here's the schedule today. You hear this crowd behind me. It's loud. It's San Jose State taking on New Mexico. Then you'll have Boise State, San Diego State. That'll be at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time. Nevada, Colorado State. And then the nightcap will be UNLV 18-14 going up against 25-6 Utah State. And you know my rule on Utah State, and it's going to rub people the wrong way. It'll rub people the wrong way, but get ready for it and record it. You don't lose to a town called, what is it, Logan, Utah? This is Vegas, man. I got casinos, $4 billion casinos around me, multi-billion dollars. You don't lose to Utah State. Don't tell me they recruit well. Don't tell me they got good coaches. Don't tell me the food's good. You don't lose to Utah State. You have to recruit better players, and you got to do a better job. So the bricklayers who are out there, you can watch us all in the Modelo Lounge. Let's get a Modelo plugged in right out of the gate as we are live and ready to go. So the Raiders are having a press conference as we speak. I'm going to go to that press conference coming up here in a moment. They have listed Chin, Roberts, Stokes, and Johnson, the players who are going to meet the media right now. So give me about a minute to set that up with Bobby. We'll take that feed live as this crowd's pretty loud here, so I want to make sure we're able to get that, and we'll dive into that. And then the other thing I wanted to mention today, there's no news on Aaron Rodgers, which to me is despicable. It is despicable that Aaron Rodgers has not decided on the Pittsburgh Steelers yet. I mean, what are we doing? The Pittsburgh Steelers are interested in Aaron Rodgers. They're one of the greatest franchises in the history of the NFL, and Aaron Rodgers is deciding between who? The New York Giants? So the Steelers got to make up their mind. Do they go all in on Cousins? They didn't want Russell Wilson. They didn't want to give Justin Fields any more money to do it there. So Aaron Rodgers, could he be holding Pittsburgh hostage? I think he's at Bondi Beach in Australia. And what message does that send? That he's not back in the States. Maybe he's on his way here. I'm not very sure here. It's very fluid. I'm keeping an eye on Schefter and Rappaport as we get going. But look, you know I'm an Aaron Rodgers guy. If you told me we had Aaron Rodgers, I'd be happy with that. I'm good with Geno. Geno has become official. So yesterday, as I hosted the big show over there at World Headquarters for the Raiders, we weren't able to say Geno Smith official. It was sources pending there, but now we're able to say Geno is official. So the good news is, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first show in the history of the Raiders, 60 years, now going on 61, that we can officially say Geno Smith is our next starting quarterback. It wasn't official. It is official now. Be the first callers to give us a call at 702-365-9200. Geno is official. You want a topic? I'll give you a great topic. You're either with Geno or you're not. How about that, Raider Nation? Let me flush out all the Raider Nation who didn't hear me correctly. You're either like the black hole right? The black hole. You're either with Geno, with Violator and Gorilla Rilla and JT the Brick and Cisco and Mark Jones, or you're not with Geno. So you got to get behind this thing quickly. Geno Smith is your franchise quarterback. I don't have the details yet on the contract and what's going to happen here. But as we say this again, here we go. So today's the day to know that you're behind the guy. Everything I heard is really positive with Geno. Now, it looks like the Raiders go out and get another running back to join the room here today. So this was the breaking news from earlier. Ari Mirov and Jordan Schultz reported Pro Bowl running back Raheem Mostert is signing with the Raiders per Jordan Schultz, a new running back for Geno Smith. So I did my due diligence and I texted my guy in the building in Miami and said, what are we getting? Listen to this. This is inside the Dolphins facility. This is from the inside. JT, he's a 10 to 15 carry back. He's got plenty of juice left if he's used as a complementary player. If you try to use him as a primary, he will wear down or break down. Exceptional person, a true professional, and he'll surprise you at times with a little punch when he runs. The key is possibly to get the best out of Raheem is to use him as a complementary guy when he shocks the defense with explosive hits to the hole, picking up an easy 7 to 10 yards. You keep him in for 18 to 14 touches, he'll be very productive as long as he stays healthy. You overload him, and he will break down and even fumble at times. Hope you're doing well, JT. You got a really good guy. So that is from inside the building there. And my initial comments on Raheem Mostert is, I watched him play. I've seen him play live. He's a really good explosive back. But again, I think the Raiders need to get a running back in the draft very high in the second or third round who can compete and start. And again, I was a Zamir White guy last year, but he was never good, never got going. You can blame the offensive line. You can blame whatever you want. They fired the offensive coordinator, right? He had a new offensive coordinator, but I think the Raiders need to get a little bit of depth at that position. But the Raiders do have a veteran in Mostert at running back and a veteran with Geno Smith. All right, let's go live to the Intermountain Healthcare Performance Center as 4 of the new Raiders signings are meeting the media. Here we go.
I would say probably just my skill set. Just being able to process, a lot of different things with the defense. Being able to play close to the line of scrimmage and also being able to play deep and kind of understand it. Personally, I love doing it.
What messages that he shared really resonated with you?
I'm not going to share anything too specific, but just kind of his role, how my role, I guess, and how he saw that, playing into this defense and in this scheme. When you look at his secondary, it's just the kind of guys that he's had. You think of Cam Chancellor and the Legion of Boom and guys like that. So, I'm just excited to be a part.
You're part of a team that went from, I think, 4 wins to the playoffs and a championship game. What went into that, number one? And number two, could you see something like, not necessarily all of that, but you've been a part of a turnaround, so you know that it's possible.
Yeah. If you're asking about last year, I would say, one of the big things that was done there was, I think, culturally and inside, was definitely a shift. But also, I think the players really came together. There was a great level of leadership, a great brotherhood that we created, and I truly believe that can happen here as well.
Jeremy, to that, what do you see here out of the defensive line? How much does that excite you to get to play behind guys like Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins?
Yeah, I mean, it's super exciting. I was able to talk to Max a couple of days ago, but I mean, when you watch him, I've been a fan of his game for a while now. He shows up every snap, every down. So I mean, that's exciting to play behind. It's only gonna make everybody else better. So on the back end, I'm excited to match that energy.
I feel like now in your career coming here, now more than ever, do you believe that you're ready to be a leader more than you ever have been in your career?
Absolutely, I'm here to showcase that.
Your conversations with Patrick Green, but like,
They haven't been too extensive so far yet, but I mean, we share the same excitement. Sure.
you always hear the word versatile with you and your game. Where does that come from? When do you think you really developed into a player that people say you kind of grew into?
I mean, I think I showcased that as soon as I stepped into the league that I could play everywhere. Nice meeting.
You're on.
All right, that's it. That was in and out. So you heard 4 of the new Raiders: Chin, Roberts, Stokes, and Johnson. They're in the building. And they are obviously having their presser there. No Geno Smith just yet, and we'll see if the Raiders are able to go out and get some more players here. So what everybody's been asking me over the last couple of days is when the Geno Smith deal, which has come official, and we find out how this affects the cap going forward, what will the Raiders also be able to do? Well, they got Raheem Mostert. They're able to pull that out. So I think that's a big deal. The Raiders announced Eric Stokes. They announced Landon Roberts, the linebacker. They announced Lonnie Johnson Jr., who's a new safety for the Silver and Black, and Jeremy Chin, who I'm really excited about. So those are some of the new players that are coming in. For those who are asking about Cooper Kupp, I'll say this again. I love Cooper Kupp. Here's the new thing that fascinates me in football with the Raiders. And tell me if you're into this or not, because I think it's a really big topic. Everybody is wondering if the Raiders should get a number 1 wide receiver. Okay, so if you look at a wide receiver number 1, why do you need a number 1 when you have Jacoby Myers at 2 and Brock Bowers at 1? Brock Bowers is a 1, but you think he's a tight end. He's not a tight end. He's a hybrid receiver. He doesn't block a lot. He goes out and runs routes. And that's what receivers do. So if you got Cooper Kupp, technically, if you got Cooper Kupp, well, you got Stephon Diggs, who's no longer an elite number 1, and you had 2 number 2s in Brock Bowers, would you still have a 1 and 2 2s? Isn't that good enough? So I'm wondering where Raider Nation stands today on how Brock Bowers changes all of this. Now that Brock Bowers put up the most yards ever in the history of that position as a rookie in the history of a tight end, why is everybody worried about getting a number 1 on the outside? Now, I want to get a number 1 on the outside because I think it's really important to have a deep threat and someone that could go for a 50-50 ball in the corner. I tweeted out today at JT the Brick, I have no problem with T. McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona, going number 6 overall to the Raiders. And that got a little bit of a firestorm in my responses where people are screaming at me. Because people scream at me on Twitter. They don't in real life. When I go to a bar, no one screams at me, but they scream at me on Twitter because they're saying, well, I'd be bummed, JT, if we didn't get Genty because we went out and got McMillan. Okay, fair enough. That's a strong opinion, but we just got Mostert today. But I'm okay with that. Other people want to figure out what are we going to be able to do with the wide receiver pick. Would you give up on taking a wide receiver at number 6 if you got Cooper Kupp or Stephon Diggs to come in here via free agency? I'd do that all day long. Okay, you got Trey Tucker. I'm not saying Trey Tucker is the next Cliff Branch, but he's pretty good. Don't know what's going to happen with Michael Mayer yet. I'm a Michael Mayer guy. I love Big Mike. He had some personal issues. I don't know what the plan with him is. Everybody, media claims that they're trying to move him. But at number 6 now, there's an opportunity to draft a wide receiver 1 who's 6'4", 5". There's no one else at that level who's 6'4", 6'5". So I'm not talking about Calvin Johnson, who's one of the greatest of all time. But what happens, ladies and gentlemen, for this argument, that if T. McMillan turns out to be huge, tall, big, can go up and get every ball, and we get him and park him throughout his career with Brock Bowers, Now we're sitting here with kind of like a Randy Moss Gronk thing. Okay, now look, I can compare Brock Bowers to Gronk. I can. Because Gronk didn't put up the numbers that Bowers did as a rookie. I can't compare T. McMillan to Randy Moss. But, this guy could be really good. What happens if this T. McMillan turns out to be Larry Fitzgerald or turns out to be Devontae Adams? And we have him on a rookie contract with Brock Bowers on a rookie contract over 5 years, and Geno starts throwing darts all over the place. And then next thing you know, Geno's got wide receiver one, Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers. You bring back Big Mike, you got Trey Tucker. And then all of a sudden you're looking at an offense. And you get a running back in round 2 who Chip Kelly's familiar with. Now the Raider offensive skill set is loaded. It's not good. It's loaded. So we got an opportunity with one more signing at the wide receiver position. And if it was Stephon Diggs or if it was Tyler Lockett, let's just go Lockett because he's connected with Pete Carroll. If you had Lockett to go along with Jacoby Myers, they're both 2s. You got Brock Bowers as a 1. All of a sudden, the Raiders split wide on opening night, hopefully. I hope it's a night game. I don't know anything. Schedule's not out. How would you like to break the huddle on opening night at Allegiant Stadium with Geno? And behind him, Geno's got a second-round running back out of Ohio State or Raheem Mostert. And then you look to the left, and you got T. McMillan. And then you got Jacoby Myers. You got Brock Bowers and Trey Tucker wide to the right. And Geno's got some time because Jackson Powers Johnson can block along with Colton Miller. Meredith is only getting better. DJ Glaze seems to be the lead candidate there. I like a veteran. And the offensive line improves. Now the Raiders have an offense just as good as the Chargers, just as good as Denver, not as good as Kansas City, but you can make an argument. And then the Raiders got Max Crosby. They got Christian Wilkins, Malcolm Kuntz, and Adam Butler up front. Jeremy Chin on the back. Jacorian Bennett. Next thing you know, maybe you get another cornerback, and the Raiders have a real chance. Not a real chance in hell, but a real chance to go out there. And you look at the offense and the defense. I didn't even get to A.J. Cole and Daniel Carlson, 2 premier special teams players, and you're sitting there looking great. That's what I do. I try to paint a picture of how this thing can turn around quickly. All right, when we come back, we're going to tell you about everything here at the Mountain West. Look at where Michael Mack put me here in the Modelo Lounge. He knew I love my Modelo, and I didn't even know I was going to be here today. And I got my Modelo gear on. So we're ready to roll today. Jump on in. When I am done, I will have a Modelo. And tomorrow night, I'll be the MC from Max Crosby's event at Allegiant Stadium in honor of Mark Davis. I'll tell you about my day with Jim Plunkett and James Lofton yesterday as we're live from the Thomas and Mack. Man, that crowd is great.
There's a lot of levels here. Wow, that's great. Yeah.
So do you think we have a chance of getting her?
They don't know yet,
Okay,
but I told them 120.
No big deal. Just text me her information if she just happens to come.
I'll hang out until we
Yeah.
I like listening to you.
Good. Appreciate that. How we doing, chat? We got a lot of people in here today. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I like the Mostert pickup too, Mike. I think that's a guy you just know can play. If you got first and goal at the 6-yard line, you can give it to Mostert 2 or 3 times and get in the end zone. He's not Josh Jacobs, but he's a good player. Still got to grab Genty. Yeah, I would. If you grab Genty, I'm good with that. I'm good with T. McMillan. I'm good with Genty or that linebacker out of Georgia. I mean, he's got an injury, but I'm good with him. He's a superstar. With the Mountain West. Doesn't seem to be a lot of breaking news out there today. A lot quieter than I thought. Queued up from the presser. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised the Raiders went out and got Raheem Mostert. Yeah.
America's original craft vodka. Visit Tito'sVodka.com.
Oh, it's a big part. Like especially somebody like Pete Carroll. Like he's a legend of a coach. So like who doesn't want to be around him? And then Pat, he kind of see me kind of grow into the player that I am. So I'm very comfortable around him, comfortable in the system. And it's always great to be around guys.
Eldon Roberts, JT, back with you. So we're adding new defenders here in Raider Nation. We'd like to get your opinion on that. Also, want to hear today as I'm live from the Thomas and Mack Center for the Mountain West Tournament. A loud crowd today, really loud. The Lobos took over this arena. So the New Mexico fans are here in full force, and they are loud. And there are games that started at noon today, and UNLV will play at 8:30 tonight. So you want to know what this does to the economy of Las Vegas. You got people that are coming for basketball games and leaving, and new fans coming in. And they're going back to hotel rooms, and they're going to dinner, and they're going to shows, and they're going to concerts, and they're coming here for basketball. It truly is a big deal when it comes to the economy here. So there's a couple of things happening today that I want to dive into. With Raheem Mostert, who I think is a very good player, ESPN has this as one of their top stories now. The Las Vegas Raiders have agreed to a one-year contract. Another one-year contract. We got a bunch of one-year guys, everybody. Don't buy a house. Don't buy a house. And you can buy a house in Southern Highlands or the Ridges in Summerlin, but you might have to turn around and sell it. I'd rent. But these guys are on one-year deals. The Dolphins released Mostert on February 14th, ending his 3-season run with the franchise. Check out what he was able to do. 32 years old now. He signed with Miami. Signed with Miami in 2022. Made the Pro Bowl after rushing for a career-high 1,012 yards and 18 touchdowns. The undrafted running back led the NFL in total touchdowns with 21. Are you kidding me? We haven't played 2025 yet. We only played 2024. In 2023, he led the NFL in touchdowns. So my takeaway on that is this is a guy who can find the end zone and the red zone, and you can hand him the ball and get it going. So I love the fact that they got an insurance policy. And as someone told me the other day outside the Raiders in another franchise, He said they love what the Raiders are doing because the Raiders are building depth with some veterans here and some players on one-year deals. They're going to have to prove it to Pete Carroll. Now let's dive into what Pete Carroll does. Pete Carroll looks at people on how they compete. Pete Carroll hasn't coached the majority of these guys. He coached Geno. So when you get a guy who Pete Carroll competed against, because most of it was with the 49ers, Pete Carroll had to sign off on this deal, and Pete Carroll's going to see how he competes. So with all of these one-year deals or short-term deals, John Spytek and Pete Carroll are looking for guys to see what their body language is like in the building, what they're going to be able to do at practice, how hard they're going to compete for playing time, and then let's see what happens. Before joining the Dolphins, Mostert played 6 seasons with the 49ers. He averaged 5.7 yards a carry in San Francisco, but he was unable to stay on the field consistently. He had injury problems. He didn't fill the role as the primary back. He went to Miami and was able to do that for a short period of time. He has rushed for 3,791 yards and has scored 42 total touchdowns, 34 rushing in 10 NFL seasons. That's not bad. So here's a guy that can come in. I'd like to get your initial reaction, Raider Nation, 702-365-9200. How do you like the new backfield now with Geno Smith, a veteran, a 70% completion percentage guy, and a new running back that led the league in touchdowns 2 years ago? I don't think anybody's going to whine about that. Maybe you want something a little bit better. I don't know, but that looks pretty good to me. Levi Edwards will join us at the top of the hour, and we'll dive into the depth of the Raiders and what they're doing at this time. I think it's important when you look at Geno Smith of having a complementary running game, because without a complementary running game, Geno doesn't thrive. And Pete Carroll had Marshawn Lynch in the prime of his career. He had Geno in the prime of his career. And I think Pete Carroll knows if you're going to run the ball. Remember when Russell Wilson had Geno Smith, they were able, when Russell Wilson had Marshawn Lynch, what a great backfield that was. The ability to run it with Marshawn and then work play action with Russell Wilson, who can run the ball and throw the deep ball as good as anybody in the league. Geno has to be that guy instantly as he hits the ground here in Vegas. So Geno's been getting some work in, and we're going to get ready to see Geno play. But it's official now. Raheem Mostert is not official. That's the breaking news today by 2 of the insiders. But I'm going to go with it going forward, looking like this is what I'm hearing and it's going to happen. But good to go on that if you want to hit on that. And then the rest of this is who's going to be the wide receiver that the Raiders pick up here in free agency. And maybe John Spytek doesn't want a free agent running back at all. Maybe John Spytek wanted to maybe take a look at, I think, a pretty good player in Chris Godwin, who ended up signing. And if you look at some of the moves here overall, he's not rolling the dice. Spytek is not rolling the dice here. Here's what NFL.com says about Raheem Mostert from their NFL.com staff as they talk about him. Durable when healthy. That's interesting. You are durable when healthy. Explosive, and a back that can average over 5 yards a carry. Josh Jacobs couldn't do that in his last year because he didn't play behind a good offensive line. And then Josh Jacobs, I didn't think was expendable, but Josh Jacobs wasn't brought back. This guy isn't Josh Jacobs, but he has games over Josh Jacobs' career over the last couple of years where Raheem Mostert was better than Josh Jacobs. No debate. More yards in games, more touchdowns by a long shot. But again, I think we look at who's great and who's good. Josh Jacobs is an elite back, along with Derrick Henry and some of the great backs that we just saw. Saquon Barkley has changed this for everybody now. All these young kids coming out of college who play the running back position have got to be pretty happy with what they have going forward. Because the fact that Saquon Barkley was now able to elevate the running back market again, the kids that are coming out of college really have a goal to look up to and someone to look up to who can be their mentor in Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, and especially Saquon Barkley, and reset the marketplace for money. So when 1 or 2 of these young backs break onto the scene, maybe the market won't be at 10 million or 11 like it was last year. Now it's elevated back to 13 to 15 million because you have Saquon Barkley. 702-365-9200. I want to thank Harry Ruiz, who sat in for me yesterday. Appreciate Harry for the great show that he was able to do. I was called to Allegiant Stadium to host the Chalk Talk with Jim Plunkett and James Lofton. Wow, that was pretty cool. James Lofton looks like he can play. He's just in incredible shape. And he told great stories. Both Jim and James went to Stanford together. And James looked up to Jim Plunkett, one of the Mount Rushmore athletes in the history of Stanford. And they both told stories about Tom Flores. And I asked James Lofton who was the greatest player he ever played against. Because Lofton was great on several teams. His coaching tree was amazing. You know, he got the phone call when he was drafted by Bart Starr. He played for Tom Flores, who's in the Hall of Fame. He played for Marv Levy, who's in the Hall of Fame. And who do you think James Lofton said was the greatest player he ever went up against on defense? Mike Haynes. He said Mike Haynes, when Mike played at New England, early in his career, was the greatest athlete he ever played against. Then I asked the same to Jim Plunkett, and Jim actually told me he practiced against Ted Hendricks, and that was a good story. Ted Hendricks, the Mad Stark, who won 4 Super Bowls in his career, said practicing against Hendricks every day. Remember, that was in the day when you were allowed to practice and tackle and hit, and they weren't able to hit Plunkett. He had a red vest on. But the story Plunkett told me about Ted Hendricks in practice and what he would do to Jim. So Jim would come out with Marcus Allen, whoever's there to run a play, and then all of a sudden, the Mad Stork is lined up on the opposite side, and Jim's got to change the play, and Hendricks is trying to knock balls down and going 100 miles an hour. So I thought that was great. Ted Hendricks is one of the greats that Jim Plunkett ever went against. So afterwards, we had a great time with Constellation Group. Really cool time, and he was able to talk to Jim about his life going forward. His wife, Jerry, was there, and James Lofton was really appreciative. And then when they were done wrapping it up, the last question I asked is, once a Raider, always a Raider. What do the Raiders mean to you? And James Lofton said it. He's played for all these different teams, and no one's treated him better than the Las Vegas Raiders. It's a nice day with them today, and we have Max Crosby tomorrow night. If you're going to that event tomorrow night, it's at Allegiant Stadium. It's a private event for the Max Crosby Foundation. Pete Carroll will be there. Sandra Douglas Morgan, the president of the team, several of Max's teammates, Max's wife, Rachel, and a couple of other really important people in town. As we're going to be raising money for Max's foundation, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun. 702-365-9200 if you want to get in. It's the first official day that we can talk about Geno Smith. It's official that the Raiders have signed him, and the breaking news that NFL.com's reporting on it, the Raiders are signing or in the process of bringing in Raheem Mostert to be the new running back for the Silver and Black. This is a unique time if you're a Raider fan to have an opinion here, because you got a quarterback, you've got a 6th pick overall to get Shador. You got a running back, but you got the 6th pick to get Ashton Genty. Raider Nation, I'm not a mind reader. Who do you want here? Give me a break here. Let's go. I'm live from the Thomas and Mack. We're here. I'm going to get a score update with New Mexico coming up here. Boise State is in the house. UNLV will be here tonight. This first hour of the show brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka, the original handmade vodka. We appreciate everything that Tito's does for us. And we hope that UNLV wins tonight, because we're here to support UNLV, Las Vegas events, and everybody who brought us there. So that's where we are as we get rolling. Hopefully we hear from you on the other side. Levi Edwards at the top of the hour. And a really cool phone call I got on my radio show last night. Reggie Jackson called in. Reggie Jackson, that one. I'm just sitting there hosting the show, and all of a sudden they said on line 2, Mr. October. I want to play a portion of that when we come back. Live from the Thomas and Mack from the Mountain West Tournament. JT as we continue on the flagship of the Silver and Black, Raider Nation Radio. Thank God for the chat today, man. Good job with you guys. Way to go. Appreciate all the insight. All right. Let Shedeur cook while watching Geno. I don't think you want to draft Shedeur now that we got Geno, man. I mean, I don't think you do. That's a waste of a. Well, it's not a waste of a pick. Shedeur could be great. Kenny likes him. A couple of guys want to get Shedeur here, but man, if you get Shedeur and you park him behind Geno, what happens if Geno has a bad game and everybody's screaming for Shedeur? That doesn't sound like something I want to see. Man, that crowd is wow. This New Mexico crowd is out of their mind, man. See what the score is here. Duke beat Georgia Tech, but Flag hurt his ankle. Yeah, let me get this Mountain West score. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, Michael. Look for Mike from across the pond. We still got the other guy on hold.
Verde Library. If you get injured in an accident, call 702-222-9999.
Okay, but let's talk a little bit more about the Giants because you said that Aaron Rodgers is also their number one. So where exactly are they in the pursuit for Aaron Rodgers?
They're waiting for everybody's ready. He has not communicated to either team what his timeline is, what his preference is. Nobody knows. So the Giants, like this time, as they were one thing about this is they have a lot of quarterback in the conference. That's Aaron DeVito. The Giants need to work with an upgrade somehow, some way. They're getting Aaron Rodgers. They're interested in Russell Wilson as well. And so if Aaron Rodgers would take the chair in Pittsburgh, that would be Russell Wilson. Presumably would be actually taking the chair in New York with the Giants. But again, I don't believe options out there. And we'll see how that works out in time. But Aaron Rodgers is the first pick.
It's Adam Schefter, and he seems to be pretty upset about the fact. I mean, he looked frustrated. Adam Schefter looked frustrated on a couple of shows because Aaron Rodgers hasn't made a decision yet. I mean, I've been trying to give Aaron Rodgers a chance more and more and more and more. Like, hey, maybe Aaron Rodgers is going to change. And Aaron Rodgers is holding the New York Giants hostage now. The Giants want to pay him and give him a job. He probably doesn't want to go to the Giants. He wants to go to the Steelers. The Steelers know that the Giants want to get Aaron Rodgers, and the Steelers don't want to overpay for Aaron Rodgers. All Aaron Rodgers has to do is say that he'll play for less. That's it. Aaron Rodgers should be playing at this stage of his career for $15 million. But he's not going to do that because he's a super elite first ballot Hall of Famer. So if Trevor Lawrence is playing for $52 million, Aaron Rodgers' ego is too big for him to play for 20. You understand what's happening here? All he has to do is say, I'll play for less. I'll play for less, and all's good. And he won't do that. Jay in the Bay Area. Jay, you're up next. Thanks for waiting. Appreciate it. Go ahead. Hey, Jay.
Hey, you can tell that these guys really know what they're doing. And it's not with veterans flexibility from the draft. We're not forced to go out and go get a quarterback. We don't like it. We got a veteran quarterback. Out of the backfield because he's a veteran in the locker room, and we don't have to go out and running games. We look into who we want, and in my opinion, if they really love you more and they want, go get it and done. Let us know. Otherwise, we'll see that because that's our defense number one, and then our offense is ready to roll now. Our offense is ready to roll now, and then you can go grab like a guard at the end of the first round, play back up, get him in the second round, and touch the guy, or whoever it is. But I think all these pickups are really giving you flexibility in the draft. It's not going and just saying, oh, we got to pick up a quarterback right now. We got to pick up a second right now. No, we don't have to do that. We can go right now. Who we got? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's all I got.
All right, man. Excellent phone call. I appreciate that. He makes a very good point. The Raiders, John Spytek over the last week, just over the last week, today with Raheem Mostert, and before that with Geno Smith, took all the pressure out of the draft. There's going to be pressure. I mean, come on, there's enormous pressure for a general manager in the draft. But the good news about this is you don't have to be forced to do anything. So you can take a great wide receiver at 6. You can take Gentry at 6. You could go and take a linebacker at 6 out of Georgia. You can do a couple of things here. You don't have to do anything. But that was a really important call from Jay in the Bay because this is the reason. What happens if Tom Brady falls in love with Shedeur Sanders? Tom Brady's the guy, dude. Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time. He's in our building. He's in our building of Raider Nation. If Tom Brady goes, excuse me, I love that kid. That kid falls to 6, we're taking him. That's it. And why I don't think that will happen is because what happens if Geno's our quarterback in week 3, throws a pick 6, and everybody's screaming for Shedeur to come in the game? I don't want to see that. I'd rather have Geno have a pick at number 6 that can help him win because Pete Carroll going on 74 at 73. Geno Smith not getting any younger but still in great shape. They want to win now. This could be a turnaround. And everybody talks about the turnaround of the Commanders. Forget about the Commanders. Commanders went from 4 wins to the NFC Championship game. That would be great if it happened to the Raiders. But how about the Raiders having a turnaround like the Broncos did? Look at the Broncos. The Broncos were in the trash can, in the dumpster fire. We beat them 8 in a row. They were non-competitive with the Raiders. Now they're a playoff team. How about that? How about the Raiders going from a 4-win team to a 10-win team? The only way that's going to happen is if Geno plays well, plays healthy, has a great season, Bowers puts up the same numbers, Jacoby Myers puts up another 1,000-yard year, and the Raiders' offensive line improves and is able to run the ball. But I think it's all going in the right direction. Lost 2 good players. You might think it's 4. I was fine losing Nate Hobbs. Fine losing Nate Hobbs. He's been injured too much. I never liked the fact that Nate Hobbs didn't play cornerback. He played slot cornerback. I love cornerbacks who can play the slot. Eric Allen could play the corner, and he stayed on the corner, or he could play in the slot. Woodson played safety corner and slot corner. I don't want a guy who can just play slot corner. I'm not interested in that. I want a guy who can play corner when another corner gets hurt. So Nate Hobbs was expendable to me. Trayvon Merrick was a really good player, but he didn't turn the ball over much unless it hit him in the hands. And then when it comes to Patrick Spillane, Robert Spillane, I wish he was back. I love Spillane, but he took the money, man. Vrabel wanted him, bam, bam, boom. The money was enormous. I don't know if John Spytek wanted to pay that type of money. Mike, my good buddy from over at La Casa Cigars, where I will be at tonight because I got to reload, man. I'm going on the Raider cruise in a week, Mike. I need some sticks. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you, man? We're gonna have to hook you up.
Yeah, I love those 4-packs. I love something. I guess I'm going on this Raider cruise, and they even have a cigar lounge on the cruise. So I definitely need to load up.
Yeah, a lot of the cruise ships have that. No, I called this because I wanted to echo what Jay said earlier. I mean, the Raiders are making some great moves in a position where they can do whatever they want. It's really one concern I have is that linebacker. So if they took a linebacker at 6, I would be very, very happy with that. You can always pick up an Ohio State running back and take a run up. Chip Kelly has a lot of experience working with those kids. So I mean that would be a solid move there. Corner and linebacker right now are just my main concern. He can look pretty solid on offense. I mean, you can get a receiver at 6.
So tonight is R&B night at La Casa Cigars and Tiffany Village. Little R&B?
Very beautiful voice. Bad to look at.
I will see you over there, Mike. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate your partnership. There you go. You got it. That's Mike over at La Casa Cigars. Kind of nice when your partners call in. All right, I'm going to get your score update coming here. Michael, I'm assuming New Mexico's winning. As we're looking at the score, they are loud, man. I've been coming here for 20 years. One of the loudest crowds I've heard for an early game, other than UNLV, obviously, because this is in Vegas, and when UNLV plays here, it gets really loud. We're leading by 4. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that game, boy. If you want to get through, you can do that at 702-365-9200. My son just texted me, and I trust my son. He said Madison to the Dolphins. So I'll take his word on that there. Yep, Madison to the Dolphins. And we just got a Dolphin running back today, Raheem Mostert, that I think is pretty good. NFL.com put out a pretty good article on the best and riskiest moves so far in free agency, and it all seems to be best move, the Buccaneers bringing back Chris Godwin. I would agree on that. Laramie Tunsil, the offensive tackle, going to the Washington Commanders. That was a power move overall. Ronnie Stanley from Bishop Gorman. Is that a risky move? $20 million per year for the former Bishop Gorman Gale at 31. I thought he had a chance to go to the Hall of Fame a couple of years ago. Another risky move, Dre Greenlaw, age 28, going to the Denver Broncos. 3 years, $35 million. Tell you, when Dre Greenlaw's healthy, he's one of the best linebackers out there. And how about this one? Khalil Mack, 1 year, $18 million, fully guaranteed. I think this is an important move for the Chargers because, and I really mean this because, I despise the Chargers. But I got to give them credit. They're bringing in Khalil Mack to make a Super Bowl run. It's a 1-year deal. They told Khalil Mack, we want to go with Justin Herbert, Jim Harbaugh. This team, we want to make a run deep into the playoffs. The Chargers were in the playoffs. They lost. they're going to try to bring Khalil Mack for one more ride. And as much as I despise the Chargers, I got to give them a little bit of credit for that. They went all in there and brought their team back so they could make a run. And then maybe the biggest move, Sam Darnold, 3 years, $100 million, $100.5 million with a full $55 million guaranteed. He's going to get $37.5 million in year one. Sam Darnold, $37 million. What is Geno Smith worth? You want to pay Geno 45? You want to pay Geno 42? Do you want him for under 40? We're going to be finding out that number coming up here in a little bit. Wow. So I'm just going to keep this being to the top of the hour because I can't hear myself as these fans are going crazy live from the Thomas and Mack. The Lobo fans are going nuts here. We'll come back at 1:05 Pacific time. Levi Edwards will join us. He was at the press conference today. He's getting a chance to meet those new young players that met with the media today. So we get an update on everything that's going on with him. Head on out to Resorts World. They're going to have a lot of viewing parties coming up here. I was talking to our teammates over at Resorts World. They're going to have Doghouse Saloon open, Red Tail open, a whole bunch of venues open for March Madness. So if you want to be at a comfortable place, an unbelievable venue, still brand new Resorts World, they'll have several viewing parties coming up. Our proud partner, Resorts World, for March Madness. Thanks to the Bricklayers for tuning in. If you want to catch the rest of the show, 9:20 a.m. in Vegas. Also the Raiders mobile app and lvsportsnetwork.com. Good to be back here at the Mountain West. Look at this, man. March Madness is here. I drove in here today. It was raining. Now the sun is out. Everyone's having a lot of fun. So if you're in town, come here and pick up a couple of tickets. Always easy to get a ticket or two and roll into the game. We'll come back with hour number 2 next. JT here, and these Lobo fans are going to come to this bar. See this bar right behind me? They're going to mob it, and they're going to be drinking Modelo's. This is an elimination game. March Madness is about the elimination. And there's an update on Duke and the injury to Cooper Flag. I'll get to that on the other side. JT, we've got another hour to go for a gorgeous Thursday from the Thomas and Mack. Thanks, everyone. Hey, I'm going to bail out here a little bit early. It's just a zoo. It's just a zoo here. No monologue tonight, but I'm doing a live stream with Looney. The JT and Looney podcast. I'll put out an alert. It'll be somewhere between 3 and 5 o'clock. That'll be good. There'll be a live video stream at Looney, so check that out.